The internet and social media have provided a new terrain for ideas and information to flourish. This is not a new concept, but with the influx of national and local threats, it is important to consider the government's role in monitoring these threats. This brings into question a fundamental pillar of American values. The First Amendment talks of freedom of speech and freedom of press. These are two aspects of democratic free countries, and imposing upon these freedoms jeopardizes both American citizens and the American government. However, it's a bit of a juxtaposition, as this First Amendment, the very value America is built upon, is protecting the individuals who plan to do harm. The government takes certain actions to prevent acts of terror. These are often brought into the spotlight and dragged through public approval. However, the accessibility and ease of social media platforms have allowed the lines between potential threats and real threats to become blurred. It brings the question of how far should we go to protect America? Are we protecting America from potential threats or from actual threats? And how do we determine which is which? In the case of school shootings, which have occurred at an increased rate recently, research has seen that often social media posts are a precursor to the shooter's actions. As seen here in this diagram that shows where these shootings occurred and when they occurred, and also here, where shootings at elementary schools. And here, shootings in middle schools, and finally here in high schools. The U.S. has 57 times more school shootings than the 6 other major industrial nations combined. There is a connection between social media and school shootings. That connection occurs in 3 major ways. When people express their thoughts about the school shooting on social media after the fact, during the school shooting itself, when students use social media to provide live updates, and sometimes before the school shooting, when murderers use social media to drop signals about their intentions. In the case of the Ohio school shooting, the shooter had reportedly posted "Die to you all" on Facebook shortly before murdering 3 students. It's safe to say that a status update of that nature is, at a bare minimum, a desperate cry for help. Prior to the school shooting at a community college in Oregon last year, a series of messages reportedly appeared on 4chan that foreshadowed the event. Researchers at Texas State University have found that many of the shooters are partially motivated by fame and have looked to past shooters for inspiration. Social media can also glorify shooters, a problem lawyers on both sides of the Aurora case said that the media exacerbated when they covered the defendants following. Following a spate of suicides on a train line in Vienna in the late 1980s, the news media there stopped covering the suicides as a matter of public safety. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention called the coverage up to that point extensive and dramatic, in an analysis following the change. As a result, the suicide rate in Vienna dropped by 80% in just 6 months, according to suicide.org, prompting other social media outlets like ABC News to adopt similar stances on suicide. This concept of informed and purposeful media coverage should be and can be applied to school shootings. To some degree, social media is having an impact on the topic of climate change. Unfortunately, social media isn't always an unbiased and reliable source to get information. People gather the evidence from the internet and base their claims off of what they read. The problem with that is that the internet isn't always a credible source for information as vital as political information. The problem arises when we take false, biased information and make realized decisions based upon it. The manufactured fears and echo chamber aspect of social media can mask real threats and vital information. An individual in the digital age must be an educated consumer of information. Being able to distinguish these real threats from potential threats is difficult, but necessary to navigate where social media and current events overlap. So here you can see the impact that climate change has on the world and how vital the information is and how reliable it has to be in order to make a decision on something as important as this. America is a global power, and studying how its government controls and influences information and therefore public opinion can be applied on a worldwide scale. Public opinion and knowledge is the most powerful tool in the 21st century. Like all tools, it is critical to be aware of its power, especially when it comes to identifying potential and real-life threats to Americans. However, as this is a difficult task and public opinion is so easily swayed, the government's involvement in independent enterprises such as social media is necessary. Overall, I feel that the government should be proactive in its prevention and acknowledgement of the power that social media has over the expression of opinions and the ability to be precursor to real-life events. America is a country made by the people for the people. It is both the government and public's duty and responsibility to monitor and be critical of the information they are exposed to in the new digital age.